Lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today, we're here with Jamie Moraga, the CEO of Franklin Revere. How are you today, Jamie?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Very excited to learn more about you. I would like to ask a little bit about your childhood as far as a fun short story, if you have one, that you'd like to share with our listeners today.
Oh, gosh. Going back into childhood. So my father was in the Navy. And so growing up, he was often on deployment. And that would cause, my mom to be the mother and the father and be that female role model for me. And I have a younger sister who's about 4.5 years younger than I was. So often had to just step up and help my mom. And I feel like that experience of having to step up at that younger age, and then also moving around in many different situations to different cities and towns, and not, stopping and starting schools, I think caused me to go on my path of where I went with my ongoing curiosity and my path towards becoming a CEO and just I think just the maturity of just, I think I ended up being more of like, 13 going on 30, I guess you would say. So I was always like a little mini adult versus a child. So my childhood was more just kind of being a second parent to my sister, helping out my mom. And then when my dad retired from the military and started his next career, it was, just continuing to just blaze some trails that I didn't think or expect that I would on my journey.
I love it. That they shaped you.
They did shape me. Absolutely.
That's great. So let's talk about a word that describes you. Do you have one?
I do. I would say I have one word that I would describe myself, and then I have another word that other people use for me. Is the word I would use is determined. I'm a never say die type of person. I'll go down to a fault, I think. Probably just, maybe it's being stubborn. Maybe it's just wanting to persevere and work through things and not give up. So I would say determined would be a way to describe myself. And then I've been described as tenacious by people. I think it's just because when I see what I want to achieve or I have a goal that I want to achieve, I get that tunnel vision of, okay, this is from point A to point B, and I figure it all out and move forward and press forward. And so I can see how that is described because I can get so focused on trying to get to that end goal. So
that's my word too for myself.
It's tenacious?
Yes.
Oh, how funny.
And determined and tenacious are very similar in many ways. So, I could see that about you. Though I think, having to move around a lot, having to start new schools, all of that does lend to being tenacious because you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You had to deal with things, whether, you chose them or you didn't. They were forced on you. and you had to persevere. You had to.
Yeah.
So I think
Absolutely.
my childhood was the same way, and in some ways, not exactly. My dad was also in the Navy, believe it or not, which is kind of funny.
The little
So
commonalities.
my dad, my stepdad, my brother, my cousin. Yeah, we had a lot of Navy in our family. Did you grow up in San Diego County, or did you grow up elsewhere?
I would say my dad's actually a San Diego native, and his whole side of the family was here. We were primarily on West Coast, and for his different where he was stationed. So I would say San Diego, and then we would take offshoots Hawaii. We went up to Oregon when his ship was in yards, but then we'd always come back to San Diego. And so when he finally retired from the Navy, we stayed here. And then I think for me, after moving around a lot and stopping and starting schools, I just wanted to plant the flag, I guess you should say.
Yes.
And I never left. I went to University of San Diego and then just started my career here. And then I just haven't left.
Nice, nice. So how long have you been in your current career?
I was just thinking about that today. I'm going on 20 years of working in the military and defense community.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite.
And that also includes what I did before. No, actually, I think that's not even including what I did before that, which was, I got my master's in business, and then I worked in PR and marketing and events for a few years after I graduated.
So what does a day look like in your life?
Well, now, so it's different than it was when I had my business. So now it's more, I'm currently writing a book on the female CEO journey. And so my day is really juggling writing, editing, all the things to do with the book. And then also, trying to be a mom and helping with my 10-year-old and getting him to and from school and activities, and then being a good partner with my husband. And just trying to also do different things for the community and some consulting work through Franklin Revere. So it's a juggle. It's a constant juggle.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot of hats.
Yes.
A lot of hats.
So how do you measure success and failure? Because I think sometimes failure is actually success in the long run. But,
Yes.
But what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think for a long time, and I'm still working through it, I'm such a type A overachiever personality. And so for me, I would always be so hard on myself if there was a failure. Instead of looking at it as a lesson or a stepping stone to something else. I think with maturity and I guess wisdom as you go along, you start to turn those things and go, hey, I wasn't meant for this, or this was meant to happen to teach me something. Instead of beating myself up about it and being, that inner critic and that inner judge sitting there telling you all like 5 different ways why, you failed at something. So I'm trying to be better about looking at failure that way as a lesson. Success, I've always just been driven. There's something inside me that just, something's not enough. Like I need to keep doing something. I need to keep proving to myself, I guess, to keep going and to keep achieving. And so I feel like in the last few years, I need to take small wins and celebrate those. And I think as I've been writing this book, that's helped me. Where I need to celebrate those small wins and reflecting back on my journey, because you can be so hard on yourself and you look always at the things that are like the failures or the things that are like the negative side versus looking at small things that you should just, hey, give yourself a nice high five, and pat yourself on the back and say, hey, you accomplished this and give yourself those small wins.
So what do you think your biggest obstacle is?
My biggest obstacle in life or with work?
With your career.
With my career, I would say it's right now is I'm writing the book and editing the book, and then how to utilize it and leverage it to what I want to do with it and what I want to do with it for myself. And I think that's the next thing I've got to really figure out and map out is what's next for me on my journey related to the book. How can I champion, support, and promote woman-owned and female-founded and women-led businesses, because that's really my why, just because I had the woman-owned small business and I know what it's like. And we need more female entrepreneurs. We need more female CEOs. We need more female board members. And we just need that next generation of female leadership to want to embark on those journeys. And so I think that's for me is how can I utilize my voice to do this? How can I utilize all of what I've done for 20 plus years in my career to then use it for good and use it to serve what I see as my purpose and my why? So I think that's probably my biggest challenge or is how do I intentionally and be more deliberate with how I do this.
Yeah, definitely. So you talked a little bit about having a 10-year-old.
Yes.
And so balance is really tough sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I used to feel like when my kids were younger, I thought, oh, some days I was doing so great, and then other days I was doing so bad.
Yeah.
And I think it goes in seasons, and it kind of depends on what's going on in one thing or the other. I mean, when my kids were both in, so I had two, and they were both in like Christmas productions and stuff, or sports at the same time. And I was like, oh boy, this is so hard right now. But what are your thoughts on, kind of balancing life and career? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah. What's funny is you sit there and think it should be balanced, because I think everyone was telling you for the longest time, like, oh, you need to find balance in your life. And I think what I've really realized is there is no balance. It's really a juggle, because something's always going to suffer.
Right.
Something's there's you're never going to have everything be the same and everybody's happy and everything's going great. And so a lot of it is that juggle and the give and take. And so I think for me it's just working through the guilt factor, because when you're with your child or your family in general, you're thinking about other things, and you've got to have to shut it down and focus on them. And then when you're at work or doing things related to that, then you have to try to shut down on that so you can try to focus more. But I'm a work in progress. I can be pretty poor at it myself. I mean, if you ask my husband now with writing this book, the tenacious and determined side of me, the last 10 to 12 weeks has been pretty crazy. And they probably haven't seen a lot of the whites of my eyes. So I'm a work in progress.
Well, when you say work in progress, I think that's a good thing, because guess what? We all are. We all are. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Every single one of us is. And you know what? You've got moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't jungle it all. So do I. I think everyone does. Every woman that I actually speak to, every man, honestly, too. I mean, a lot of people feel very overwhelmed by all of the things that are happening in life. I mean, it's a crazy time.
It is.
It is
it's so
crazy time.
It's so fast paced. I think that's the hardest part too, is you're sitting there juggling all this, and everything needs to be done tomorrow, or everything needs to be done on these, so it's just, you feel like you're on that hamster wheel and you're going pretty fast.
Well, and we have a society that really thrives on instant gratification, but that's not even reality. You can't deliver that quick. It just doesn't work like that.
No.
And they're like, I want it done tomorrow, and I know someone else that can do it. It's like, yeah, you really don't. I mean, not effectively anyway.
Yeah.
So I think, we just need to, as a society, have realistic expectations of everyone that's within our sphere. And I always say, gosh, and I can't stand it when something becomes my emergency that's outside of my control. I'm like, I'm sorry that my emergency has now become your emergency.
Right.
And I don't want that to be like that. And I'm so sorry. I mean, I feel terrible when it's like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I can't control, and I can only control one thing.
I know.
Myself.
Yes.
Nobody else.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that many of us don't actually think through. Mm-hmm. You've only got control over yourself.
Yeah.
So just try to do your best, and don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And every woman that I actually speak to, they say, you know what my biggest obstacle is? It's me.
Yes.
And how hard I am on myself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I talked about earlier, like the inner critic can just be brutal. I don't think there's anybody else that could criticize me as much as myself.
No,
So.
no, I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
I would say that 100%. And you know what? It's weird that every single woman has said the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're the reason that we don't get the job promotion, and we're the ones that don't do this or that or whatever. We, for some reason, feel that we're not enough in some ways.
Yeah. I know, I agree. And it's interesting because as I talked with the different female CEOs for my book, that was a common theme from people who have been in the business for 20 plus years to people who are just in the beginning stages of their entrepreneurial journey. So yeah, it's a common thread for many female senior leaders for sure.
So, kind of talking that through, do you think that it is ourselves that's the biggest barrier, or is it something else in our careers?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like, it's a mix of the imposter syndrome, the self-doubt, and then it changes over time. And then I think you always feel like you have to prove yourself. We have to prove that we can be at the table.
Right.
And, I've been in a male-dominated industry for nearly 20 years of my career. And for sure, I felt like, especially in the beginning, you feel like, okay, I was in my late 20s when I started, and there weren't a lot of females in the military and defense community here in San Diego. And I feel like you had to prove yourself to feel like you could contribute and lead and people could take you seriously. So I feel like that all plays a part in it too.
So when you're the most prepared at the table, do you feel that you are looked at as an equal, or do you feel like you're looked at as not an equal? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it depends on the group, because I've been in situations where I've been at tables with different people, and I can totally feel that the respect and that they respect my position or what I have to say, or they're interested in my input. And then I've been in situations where you can read the room and it's more dismissive, or they look at you like, oh, she's younger, she's female, she's not as experienced, so maybe what she says doesn't carry as much weight. So I feel like it changes depending on who you're meeting with and who you're dealing with.
So you do then, I think, feel resistance sometimes when you're in a role with men in the room. I do too. I'm just kind of trying to get that out of you as far as, I mean, it really is unfair when you're sitting in a room, you're either equally prepared or even
over-prepared. And I mean, I'll raise my hand.
Me too. Me too.
I will read, I will study, I'll overdo it just because I want to walk in feeling like I know I know the information and I can talk to it.
But if you weren't walking into a room where you never felt that, you wouldn't feel the need.
Potentially. Yeah. Because then I feel like you want to contribute something. And,
right.
And then have your opinion valued, I think, too.
Yes, for sure.
Have a valuable contribution.
So let's talk about role models and mentors.
Yes.
So who did you have? And is there, is it men, women, equal? What?
Yeah. Well, first off, I've been reflecting on this, too, when I've been writing my book, is, my dad was a fantastic role model for me for, especially on the business side, just out of the box thinking, just honorable, ethical, honest person. He just the way he did business, he always supported women in leadership, even when he had his own business. My mother was a wonderful role model growing up too, because, she had to step up while my dad was deployed for 9 to 12 months at a time, being the mother and the father, and really just trying to be the figure that my sister and I needed, and playing so many different roles, and as a strong female.
Right.
And then I think together collectively with my parents was, I never felt that I couldn't do something. I was always, you can do this if this is what you want to do. There was no obstacles or barriers or anything into what I wanted to do. It was always encouraged. So I'd say my parents primarily were my role models and still are. And then I would say on the business side for me, it was Sarah Blakely, just seeing how she was able to start something from scratch and work her way up and be so successful. And I absolutely admire her. She just has that sense of fun and sense of authenticity and relatability that I think is just so needed in the world of entrepreneurship and business, especially when it pertains to female leaders. Because I feel like for so long, female leaders had to portray that, we can do it all and we can do it all well. And you're sitting there looking at all these female leaders that are saying that, like, I can be a great mom and a great leader and a great board member and a great this. And then you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't feel that way. So what's wrong with me,
Right,
So
yeah.
I really appreciated Sarah being able to show the good, the bad, and the ugly behind being a female leader. And then I always admired like Condoleezza Rice and just how she was in a room full of men at a world global stage, and the poise and the grace and just the intelligence. I just admired that. So I've kind of looked at people along the way. Oh, and then I would say too, like women executives like Meg Whitman and Carly Fiorina, they were, CEOs and senior leaders in businesses. And so for me, I saw that it was possible you could be a female CEO. So then when I decided to go down that path, it wasn't even a question of, well, can I even do this? It was like, yeah, I think I can do this. So role modeling played a huge part in shaping, me being able to move forward with what I did in my career and what I've achieved.
So let's get back to that in just a moment. Let's take a quick smart stop to talk about our wonderful sponsor.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
So just in the discussion with women and in leadership in business, I think all of the examples that you actually chose were both feminine but also strong.
Yes.
I think that is a really important aspect of it, because there are some women that walk into a leadership role and they think they have to be hard,
Yes.
and more like men, but that's not authentic.
No,
It's not
I'm so
authentic.
glad you said that, because I would see people change,
Yes.
and I always sat there and thought to myself, I never want to change who I am. I'm a kind person, empathetic person, which, I'm sure that some people think that, okay, that we can easily take advantage of
Oh
that.
my gosh, you were speaking my language.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I just think like, no, I don't need to be hard and mean and rude and be that person. That I don't think that you have to be that way.
No.
And so I always wanted to stay true to myself. And I'm proud to say that, yeah, from the time I started my business to today, I am the same person that I was. And I'm okay with that. And I don't see those as weaknesses at all.
No.
I see those as, I don't know if it's like a superpower or if it's a skill set that is important and it's needed. But yeah, I completely agree with you. There's no reason that you need to change who you are to be a leader. You should be able to be yourself and be authentic to yourself and be real. That's why I think I've always admired Sarah Blakely, because I felt like she's probably similar to who she was when she started her business. And so, yeah, I don't feel like women need to do that.
I don't either. And I feel like that's a lesson learned that you could share with other women leaders, because they can apply that to their life too. I think, just looking at who you are, and I go and I speak to groups about leadership, and I tell every single one of them, don't change the core of who you are, because the core of who you are is your superpower. It's something special about you. And if we all, for instance, I'm just going to use a color, if we all were black threads and we were all woven into something, there'd be no differences.
Yeah.
If we're all different colors and we come to it, we make something really beautiful, because we're all different.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be the same as someone else. And conforming is not good.
No.
It's actually good to be your own unique self. So just kind of other lessons that I think that's an important one, to stay true to yourself. And you already mentioned that. But what are some other lessons learned that you think that other women could apply to their lives? And their
Yeah,
careers?
I mean, I think touching on what we talked about earlier was, geez, don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, I think that's a huge lesson for me that I've learned, and I think women can be so hard on themselves. The guilt factor and the juggling of the work-life balance. I think also the support systems. I mean, a lot of the women I talked to for when I was interviewing for my book, it was being able to have those mentors and having those family members and friends and cheerleaders that would help you along the way, because there's days where it's difficult, and you need somebody to come in and pick you up and cheer and push you forward so you don't give up.
Sometimes carry you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes carry you. And
Yes.
so you really have to have that support system and not feel isolated, because I think at times as a female leader, you could get easily isolated. And I know as I've progressed in my career, because I didn't have a lot of other female CEOs in the same industry that I was in, there were periods where I felt very alone. I had my father as a mentor for the business side, but he really couldn't tell me about being a female and being a mom as a female CEO. He could only do so much on the business side. And then back in the day, people were not blogging and podcasting and writing and masterminds and these groups where you could get together with like-minded people, like a group of female CEOs where you could exchange ideas and really talk to each other and get advice and all that. That didn't exist, to the way it does now. I'd say like in the last handful of years, that's really changed.
Well, yes. And it actually is less of a go out and figure it out and a, hey, this is what happened with me and maybe this will help you too.
Yes. It's the sharing. And
Yes.
instead of the, well, what do you mean you can't do it all? It now is turned into, well, that totally happened to me.
Right.
And this is like what I did, or here's an idea for you. And so people are being so much more real. And I just, that's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for during my journey, for sure.
I definitely. And so when you're looking for that tribe, I think finding an authentic tribe and not a conjured up, phony.
Yes.
I mean, there are definitely phony people out there that say they want to help, but really they just want something from you at the end. Having that, being able to discern and what is their motivation. I think motivation is key when we're talking about having the right people around you.
Yeah.
Are they going to cheerlead you, or are they going to use you?
Right.
And that's, you've got to pay attention to things.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey in your career and how that chose you. Did you feel like at any moment, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
You know what? It's so funny because I'm really an extroverted introvert. And
do explain that.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like when I'm in a comfortable situation and I'll sit there and have that extroverted moment where I'm, very outgoing. And then there's the times where I'm the introvert, where I just want to have my thoughts to myself. I have that alone time. I want to reflect. Networking situations, sometimes you have to sit there and be like, okay, I've got to turn on and be the extrovert for a networking situation. So it's the build up from that. But once I'm there, I'm fine. And so, so I've always just been curious, but I have that one side of me that raises the hand to do something. And then the other hand is like, what are you doing? Why are you raising your hand? Why do you keep doing this? So it's this inner battle between myself that just.
See, for me, I would actually call that totally normal, because that's how I feel too. Yeah. And the reason being is I need time to recharge. It's very difficult to be on all the time.
Yes.
On such a high level.
Yeah.
And you're the same high level extrovert. And having that time is so important to say, okay, I need to take a deep breath. I need to just be Netflixing, binge watching, having that time to myself where I could just say, okay, I don't have to think. I don't have to say anything. I just can be.
Stuff, yeah.
But I don't know that I would call that an extroverted introvert. I think I would just call it normal.
Yeah.
Normal to have that time to just recharge.
Yeah.
Because you need it.
Yeah.
You can't stay at that high level all the time.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
And I think too is just I've just over the years I've constantly found myself raising my hand to do something and thinking, well, I could do that, and that was, being the first female editor-in-chief at the University of San Diego, and that was, being the second female SDMAC president, and the youngest to ever be SDMAC president, and then being a female CEO. And then now writing a book, these are all just.
Do you ever look in the mirror and think, how did I do this?
Yeah, I definitely. Like right now, I probably could look in the mirror like, how did I do this? I don't know. I just put one foot in front of the other. I raise my hand. I think I can do it. Sometimes during the process, I'm wondering why I wanted to do it, or, and then you work through it. It's that determination and the perseverance.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Tenacity.
The tenacity.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And then when you get to the goal, then it's like, okay, then all of that was all worth it. But when you go through it at the time, you're sitting there going, why did I raise my hand for this again?
Am I crazy?
I know, exactly. Like,
I love it. And I hope our listeners are really hearing this, because even two women that have done a lot.
Yes.
To be able to say that's pretty hopeful for the women out there that are going, I don't know if I can do it.
Oh yeah. It's hard, but it's possible.
Right.
It's hard, but it's possible. It's hard work. Yeah. But if you do the work, then you will achieve it. You will achieve it. You can have success.
So what's next for you? Because I feel like you have got like probably a pretty big list up there that you're going to still strive for. So tell me what's next for you.
Well, what I want to do is I'm in the process now figuring out how I want to utilize my book for my next step. Obviously want to try to do some consulting work, helping out, continuing to help champion, promote, and support women-owned, women-led, and female entrepreneurial businesses. And then maybe tap into, maybe that's doing a course or doing some education, doing some speaking opportunities. I just feel like there's things that I can continue to do that I think I'd like to tap into some more creativity with it all too, just because I feel like a lot of my business background has been more on the left brain, and I like to engage the right brain as well. I want to use the book as a springboard to be able to, talk about the female CEO journey and encourage the next generation of female leaders and really showcase that, it's hard work, but it's possible. And I want anybody who's doubting if they can and cannot do it, you can. It's possible.
Yes.
Don't think that you can't do it because of A, B, or C. I want to be able to show through the book, look at all of these women, look at my story, and maybe relate to that, to some of those things, some of those stories, and some of the advice and some of the challenges and triumphs that we've all been through, and then identify with that to be able to then cause them to want to step into a leadership role themselves or start their business.
I feel like the premise of the book is you can do it in spite of, and here's how.
Yeah.
Just to look at the journeys of all the women that are in the book, showing examples, real life examples of here it is, and this is how they did it.
Yeah. And it's real.
Yes.
It's
exactly.
authentic. And it's not this rose, I'm not painting the roses and all the different things. It shows both.
It's not the perfect little bio.
Yeah.
It's the messy bio of this is how it happened. And it's a real story.
It's a real story. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like we're going to work together at some point.
I know. I would love to. I feel like we could just continue talking. It was really fun.
I think we could. Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop. a leader in self-storage real estate, and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.